questions, any fantasy advice that you ever need, you can use the hashtag AskUsFFG as always. If you have any email questions you want to send in, we always try to get back to all our listeners. You can send your emails over to askusffg@gmail.com. And finally, if you ever have any voicemail questions, we're more than happy to answer them. You can shoot those over to us at 708-655-4508. As always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and smash that notification button. It really, really helps us, helps the algorithm out. We give this fantasy advice for absolutely nothing. It's for free. So help us out. We'll help you. All right, Dustin, I know you froze a little earlier ago. How's it going, man?
It's going great, man. Yeah, my internet is crappy. But nonetheless, I'm excited for this week. It's kind of a shorter week. There's not as many games as we alluded to in our Tuesday's episode. We have 6 teams on bye. So this will probably be the most important start show you've ever watched in your life as we navigate through this bye apocalypse.
Yeah, the bye-apocalypse is crazy. Real quick reminder to our listeners of all the teams that are on bye. It's the most teams that will ever be on bye the remainder of this season. For the most part, every other week will be 4 teams on bye. But this week, we have 6 teams on bye. Those teams are the Cowboys, the Vikings, the Bills, the Steelers, the Jaguars, and the Chargers. Lots of really good fantasy players, lots of starters, lots of stars that will be out. So we're here to help you guys with our first ever start sit. Dustin, you ready to go?
Yeah, I've been waiting for this show. Let's go.
Awesome. All right, let's go.
Okay, cool. So let's jump in the first game. That will be the Carolina Panthers, who are 3-3, versus the New York Giants, who are 1-5. So I'm gonna start off with the Panthers. The guys that I'm starting this week, probably my most favorite starter of all of them on there would be Chuba Hubbard. I feel like he did very well last week, where he had 61 touches. In the last 3 starts, the G-men give up the most points to running backs. That is. So that would be definitely a guy I would start. DJ Moore. I think he's going to be. I think he'll have a bounce back game. Last week wasn't his best, but I feel like he's definitely going to get targeted a little bit more. And I'm liking Sam Darnold in this because obviously the Giants are not obviously, you guys probably didn't know this, but the Giants give up the 5th most points to QBs. The one guy without a doubt that I'm not starting that you guys should probably get rid of is Robbie Anderson. He's straight trash. I don't think he's going to be anything great. If you still have him, drop him, or at least try to trade him for someone who's not as trashy.
Just drop his ass.
Yeah, drop him. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm with you completely on those starters. I am starting Sam Darnold if you got him. If you have someone better, obviously start him over Sam. But if you got him on your team, you're probably starting him this week. It's probably a bye week fill-in for you if you're missing a lot of those really good quarterbacks. I'm also with you on DJ Moore, with you on Chuba Hubbard. Complete agreement on Robbie Anderson as well. I am sitting him. So
trash.
Complete agreement. Yep, he's trash. I had him on 2 teams and cut him already. So.
Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna flip over to the New York Giants, who, like the Browns, are very, very injured this week. I'm not excited to start any of them, to be honest. We have Sterling Shepard, but he's questionable. We have Darius Slayton, who's also questionable. Those have a possibility of coming back. People that aren't coming back are Kenny Golladay, Barkley, which you kind of already knew that. Kadarius Toney is out. Yep. Tony.
Tony.
I like it, Toney. Anyways, he's not playing either, and I'm even sitting Daniel Jones. I don't trust him. If you're going to avoid the Giants, I would avoid them as much as possible. I don't think any of these players are going to be worth starting. If you have to, I would probably put, if healthy, Sterling Shepard in a flex spot. I definitely wouldn't be confident in him going forward as a wide receiver 1.
All right, cool. Well, I'm definitely starting Sterling Shepard. If he plays, I'm starting Darius Slayton. Looks like he's going to come back. I am starting. That's it. That's all I'm starting. I am starting Devontae Booker as well. Like they don't really have anyone else outside of that. Everybody else, like you did say, is hurt. Not a lot going on, honestly, in this game. Not a lot of stars. Dustin, let's jump over to the next matchup where the 1-4 Jets play against the Patriots at home, 2-4. Dustin, who are you starting?
Yeah, I'll make this easy. No one. I'm not going to start a single fucking Jet because they're trash. The whole team's trash. But if you have no other choice, the only person that I would possibly throw into this one in a PPR format would probably be Jamison Crowder. He gets a lot of targets, and it's not going to be like a lot of yards that he's going to get, but he is going to make up for that with getting peppered throughout the game. Michael Carter, I mean, he led the team with 10
I would start
carries.
Michael Carter. If you're looking for a running back, if you're desperate on this bye-apocalypse right now, I would definitely go with Michael Carter because he's been averaging like 10 points over the last 3 games, I think it is. So if you need points, if you need a guy in the flex, or you desperate for a running back, I would go Michael Carter.
Yep, with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, those were probably the only 2 that I'm even somewhat excited about. Everyone else, I would say it, so I won't even bother with Zach Wilson. And that's the only other guy I can really think of at the top of my head that would be maybe a start. So flipping over the –
Hold on, real quick. For me, I would definitely start Corey Davis, no doubt about it. I'm starting Corey Davis as their de facto number 1 receiver. Just because if you have him on your team, you're going to probably play him in the flex, and I think he's going to get a ton of targets, ton of looks. He's Wilson's favorite target, so I'm going there.
Would you start
He's
him
their
over
best target.
Slayton?
Yeah. Over Slayton? Yeah, no doubt. Not even question. Not even close. Yeah.
Okay. So who would you not start him?
I probably wouldn't start Jamison Crowder in a standard league, but in a PPR league, like you said, I definitely would start him. He gets a ton of looks, man. Ton of looks, and he'll get a lot of volume on that. And I also agree with Andrew and you and Michael Carter. I think as the season progresses, he's going to take more and more snaps away, and he's going to become the lead guy. So, yeah, as well, I'm also going with Michael Carter. Maybe
he definitely led the team with 10 carries against the Falcons. So I think he's their go-to guy for sure. Mm-hmm. Flipping over to the other side, we have those New England Patriots who are 2-4. Once again, it's not the Patriots that we're used to, right? Tom Brady obviously isn't there. But I think Mac Jones, I think if you're desperate, he's definitely somebody to go up against the Jets. Keep in mind the Jets D isn't like horrible. They're not trash. Their offense is, but their defense is pretty good. Jacoby Myers, last week, I should say, against Dallas, he was targeted 6 times. He got 5 receptions, 44 yards, no touchdown. But keep in mind the Jets D is the second with giving up the fewest points to wide receiver. So maybe a flex here. If you got somebody better, I would definitely put him in there. Hunter Henry is probably the one that I'm really excited about. In fact, I did pick him up for 2 reasons. Yeah, last 3 games he scored a touchdown. And the Jets, honestly, are kind of in the middle of the pack with tight ends. They gave up the 10th most points to tight ends. So fire them out, feel confident, you'll be good to go. Those are my starts. My sits, the running backs with the Patriots, you just don't know what you're getting yourself into. I shy away from that fully. Yeah.
Yeah, so real quick for me, I'm starting Mac Jones like you are. If you have a better quarterback, you start him. But Mac Jones has been solid. He's been, he'll get you 18 points a week. That's kind of where he's sitting at. Jacoby Myers in a PPR league has been pretty solid. It's unbelievable. The guy has not scored a touchdown yet in his entire career. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. The amount of receptions he has and yardage he's got, and just still hasn't scored a touchdown. It's really crazy.
Wide receiver in NFL history with 1,000 yards and no touchdowns.
Yeah, it's crazy. Wow.
Dropping some knowledge. All right.
Yeah, it's a good stat. I am starting Hunter Henry, although I wouldn't be surprised if he were to get injured because I feel like every time I start him, he gets hurt, man, every single time. With that
Don't
said,
say that, man. I'm desperate at tight end right now.
Hey, man, you never know.
And who's their bum of a tight end? You have him on your team, JC. What's his name?
I do. Johnny Smith. Yeah, Johnny Smith hasn't really. He's been underwhelming, no doubt. I thought he was going to break out this year, and he really hasn't. But it is what it is. I am also starting Damian Harris, no doubt about it. I expect him to get at least 15 touches, and I think he'll be the guy there. Let me give you a sleeper name that I like, somebody who's been eating into the work at running back, and somebody who I think by the season's end will be a solid flex play, especially in PPR leagues. Ramondre Stevenson. It's just a name that I really like, a guy that I think catches a lot of balls, and I think by year's end, he'll be a solid flex play. I really, really believe that. In some of those really deep leagues that you're in, if you really need to start somebody, he's probably sitting out there on waivers. Go pick him up, because I think in a few weeks, you'll be pretty happy that you did. He'll probably give you, 8 to 12 points every week, starting probably next week, to be honest with you. Yep.
That is a bold prediction, my friend. Bold.
It is.
Eyes,
what we do.
And we've talked about this before. I'm not a fan of Patriots running backs because you just don't know. And there's always that guy out of nowhere who blows up. But do what you want, roll those dice, and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go to the next game, which starts at 12 o'clock. Yes, it does. That would be the Chiefs, who are 3-3, versus the Titans, who are 4-2. This game is super easy to pick. If you have any Chiefs player, I would start them all. It looks like there was a little bit of issues with Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, questionable. The reports I've been getting in, they're good to go. They're ready to rock. I do know that Travis Kelce does have like a neck thing. So I don't know if he's just playing through the pain or what. But I mean, there's a reason why you drafted these guys. By far, I would not be afraid to start them against the Titans. I really think this is going to go back and forth, just like last week when the Titans took on the Bills. I think it's going to be one of those. I don't want to call it like the game, but it's going to be close. So those starters would be, once again, if you don't know, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Darrell Williams, right? Mm-hmm. Talked about him on Tuesday. I feel like he just stepped right in, didn't miss a beat, scored a couple touchdowns. So that's really exciting, especially if you're struggling at running back, which I was. I missed the boat on some really key names. So he's helping me get through my fantasy woes.
Yeah.
What about you, JC?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm starting everybody. I'm even starting Mecole Hardman in a 14-teamer that I'm in. I'm not happy about it, but kind of have to do it. But I'm in agreement with you. I expect this to be a high-scoring game. I'm thinking both teams are in the high 30s, if not low 40s, as far as scoring goes. Patrick Mahomes is my number one quarterback this week, so I'm definitely think he's going to go off. I fully expect 300 yards and multiple touchdowns. Tyreek Hill, I'd be a little concerned. I know he's going to go, but he's hurt. So if you got him, temper your expectations. But he's a stud. You got to go with him. Travis Kelce as well. And Darrell Williams, real quick. They're using Darrell Williams the way that I wish they would have used Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Honestly, he's everywhere. They use him so much. His usage rate was one of the top 5 usage rates in the NFL for running backs. He catches a lot of passes. He runs a ton. He's really good in pass protection as well. They have a full confidence in him. So, like you said, Dustin, if you have any Chiefs players, you start them all, honestly.
What about Hardman? What about
Mecole Hardman? Yeah, I just think that this is the kind of game where there's going to be throwing 40 times the whole game. So I could see him get maybe 3 or 4 targets, deep ball looks, because that's the kind of slot receiver that he is.
Yeah, Tennessee's going to try and run the ball. They're going to try and kill the clock, so expect Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball. I would also say, what's his name, Robinson, right? He's like their slot receiver. If you're desperate for receivers, he's another guy. He usually gets some targets every now and then coming out of the slot and going out wide too.
So a good flex starter, you'd say. Probably in that flex option.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So flipping to the other side, we got the Titans. Once again, they're 4-2. Derrick Henry had a monster game. On Monday night. So
that's an understatement.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was 3. Didn't he get 3?
He got 3.
I don't know. Yeah, 3. Jesus.
He's on record for over 2,200 yards right now and 28 touchdowns.
Insane.
Yeah, he's nuts. He's a beast. So obviously, if you got him, there's no reason. I mean, it's silly if you even thought about setting him. We got AJ Brown. More than likely, he's going to suit up. I saw a couple tweets. Sleeper app, by the way, definitely confirmed that he is going to start. So obviously, throw him in there. Julio Jones, 50-50 shot. Even if he was good to go, I would be very cautious with starting him.
Yeah.
I think his name has more credit than what he's actually putting out there. Yep. To be honest, fantasy wise, I'm not diminishing how great of a warrior is, but I think he's kind of on the other side of that hill at this point. Ryan Tannehill, I'm okay with starting him. I don't really feel like he's gonna give you huge numbers, but this could actually be a blowout, especially if the Titans do get behind. He's gonna have to start slinging it. But I'm not concerned because the Chiefs defense is trash, so I think you're good to go there. I don't know, what do you think, JC?
Yeah, I'm going with you there. Derrick Henry must start. Number 1 running back in football. You got to start him. AJ Brown, you got to start him too. Really good trade target. If I were any teams out there looking for a receiver, I think the AJ Brown owner is probably kind of tired of his production at this point with the injuries he's been going through and whatnot. I think he's ranked outside of the top 40 currently. So AJ Brown is a guy I'd like to target, but you start him if you got him. Julio Jones did come out and say that he's good to go. He did hurt his hamstring in the first quarter of his last game last week, but but he said he's a full go, so you start him as well, hoping that you get something out of him. He has been underwhelming, to say the least. Ryan Tannehill as well, like you said, it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I could definitely see Ryan Tannehill throwing the ball 30 times a game and, finishing as maybe just outside of the top 10 at quarterback this week. Yeah, I don't really have any sits there as far as those guys go.
And this just saying, guys, sorry, breaking news off the Twitter feed from Michael Florio. He did retweet that the Seahawks officially designated running back Rashad Penny to return to practice.
Yep.
Per the wire. So
yeah,
I know JC talked about this earlier for those deeper leagues. Go stash him because I totally agree.
Solid running back, really talented. He's not as good of a receiver as Alex Collins is at running back, but as far as like a true rusher between the tackles, he's better than Alex Collins is, I think. And I think he's the kind of running back that will get a lot of end zone looks too. So, I'm a fan.
Yeah, I'm a fan as well too. I think every year it feels like Carson gets hurt. Yeah. I usually handcuff him always. So I think Penny. I listened to JC. I'm in a 14 people league, and I grabbed him. So I'm excited. All right, moving on to our next and final game for the afternoon. That would be your the Washington football team sitting at 2-4 versus those pesky, crappy, scum of the earth. Shitbags.
Tell us how you really feel, Dustin.
I hope Aaron Rodgers
Don't say it.
Anyways. I wish him well. Good juju. Anyways, we're going to start off with Washington. We've been talking about this guy for a long time. If you haven't been watching our shows, but Taylor Heineke, for sure, I think is the start. Keep in mind, it looks like Fitzpatrick is going to be coming back soon. So if you're going to pull the trigger, you might as well do it now, because when Fitz comes back, he's going to go back to the bench. So his last game against Kansas City, Heineke was 24 out of 39 attempts, 182 yards and 1 TD. So not huge production, but if you're in one of those leagues where it's kind of bottom of the barrel with this bye apocalypse, I would grab him for sure. Terry McLaurin, I would definitely start as well too. I think he's going to be great. In fact, the Green Bay Packers defense are the 9 fewest points against, or give up the 9 fewest points to wide receivers. So I don't think he's going to be going off the rails, but he's definitely their wide receiver 1. Ricky Seals-Jones, which I wasn't too excited about last week, but this week I'm going to start him. Last game, he was targeted 6 times, 4 receptions, 58 yards with a TD. J.D. McKisson, flex option for PPR only. I would say I wouldn't really start him in a standard. I would put him here. And it looks like Gibson is going to play. I saw some tweets where he's running around at practice. So even with that shin, looks like he's pushing through it. So if you have him, I would start him over McKisson for sure. But yeah, if you're, once again, if you need a running back, flex, PPR, McKissick is good. So I don't know. JC, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm definitely starting Terry McLaurin. Scary Terry has to get started. He's a top 15 wide receiver. I think he's a low-end wide receiver 1. It's Heineke's favorite target, and he's a stud, so you guys start him. I'm not a big fan of Ricky Seals-Jones, to be quite honest. I know the volume was there. He did get targeted 6 times. So if you do need a tight end, you're kind of desperate. It's a good name. But yeah, I'll probably go that route.
That's so weird because, like, last week we were flip-flopped, right? You were all about him, and I was like, nah.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
Football's a crazy game.
It is. In a PPR league, J.D. McKissick is definitely a guy I'm looking at. He's definitely a must-start. As we did say, in a standard league, you could sit him, to be quite honest. And then if you're kind of desperate for a quarterback, Taylor Heineke's been solid, honestly. He's good for 19 points a game on average. Been really good. I like him to throw a lot against a pretty good offense in the Packers. You got anything, Andrew? Anything you want to add in there?
I was going to say I have a difficulty with this, especially when you say J.D. McKissick, because I have Antonio Gibson in our X-Bomb League. So, and listen, I like Antonio Gibson a lot. I think he's a wonderful running back. I think he should be RB1 for that team, but it's clear that he's struggling to stay healthy. And
Correct.
right now, because right now he's questionable. I think he's going to start, but I'm at the point right now where I'm kind of looking to see if maybe I can get a trade out of him at this point, just because I feel like the consistency isn't there enough for him in terms of the volume of carries and also his health. So if if I can get something else for him, I'm trying to see if maybe I can even upgrade at running back with adding plus. Like I just made an offer for Austin Eckler that included Antonio Gibson, Chuba Hubbard, and I think I threw in like T. Higgins just to see. I know he's on a bye week, but I'm willing to take like the slap this week and basically say, but I get like a guaranteed 20+ point running back for the rest of the season without a bye week at that point. Yeah. I feel confident in that at least, but that's the difficulty I have with Washington right now. They're so inconsistent. I just hope Terry McLaurin can perform for my other league.
Yeah, real quick. So Gibson's dealing with shin splints, guys. It's like a really bad case of shin splints. If you ever had them, they do suck. You kind of got to play through them. Painful. Yeah, you got to play through them. There is no like correct way to like heal them. You just got to play through it. They go away eventually. You just don't know when or how or why. But you got to stretch the front of your foot and your heel constantly to kind of like get rid of the shin splints. It's kind of weird. It's like a really common injury in soccer. Actually, very common. They suck, man. I had them before. It took me 6 months to get rid of them. So there's no like thing you can do, no surgery or anything like that. It's just time. It's all about time. But yeah. All right, DL, let's jump over to the Packers in that same matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. The shitty Packers. So I would go ahead and if you did draft him because you're a loser, I would go ahead and start Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, obviously, Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is legit, I think, the number one wide receiver in fantasy. I don't know why you would ever sit him unless he was injured. But yeah, those would be those starts. For the sits, Robert Tonyan, he got targeted a little bit last week, but nothing too exciting. I think he's been trash, really, for all the season. I think he's a dumpster fire again this Sunday. Against the Bears, who gave up the 7 fewest points to him, but, that was the Bears. So moving forward, we got Randall Cobb. Once again, I would sit him too. I don't think he's really doing much for you. I wouldn't even put him in a flex. I would probably just dump him and try to find another wide receiver out there, which we'll get into some of those that are out there. We mentioned on Tuesday, you got your T.Y. Hilton who's coming back from IR. You have Rodney Bateman. Am I saying that right? Rashad Bateman, sorry. Okay. Those would be some better options. If you do have them, I think it's just time the experiment's over and he gets a passing half. But hey, we'll kick it over to JC, who's a huge Cheesehead fan.
I'm not. I do have Aaron Rodgers in a few leagues, and I'm kind of regretting that I have him. He hasn't been that good this year. But Aaron Rodgers, well, you never know. There's a lot of old quarterbacks, a lot of 40-plus-year-old quarterbacks. But anyway, must-starts are Aaron Rodgers this week, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm sitting Robert Tonyan. I just don't think Big Bob is, getting the looks that he needs, to be honest with you. He was really successful last year because of just the amount of volume he was getting. I'm also sitting Randall Cobb. Honestly, he's kind of boom or bust with Aaron. Aaron finds a way to make it a thing and give him the ball, but just don't think the volume's there either. Anybody you want to add in there, Andrew?
For Robert Tonyan, I have no faith in him whatsoever anymore as a tight end, just because I think Rodgers is trying to go more down the field. So as far as tight ends go, I think he's the low end at this point. I know you're down on Ricky Seals-Jones, but I think he's even a better option at this point at tight end than he. I would even go with Jonnu Smith at this point, who is maybe the luckiest tight end in the world. He sits on the bench. He makes a lot of money. He makes 2 catches, and he calls it a day. That's living the life right there. But I honestly, Robert Tonyan at this point, completely pass on him at this point stage.
Yeah. Completely with you. Well, guys, we have a bunch more games to go. We have 2 noon games, a bunch of afternoon games, evening games, some Sunday night games, and Monday night games to tell you who to start and sit. We'll be back with those players after a few brief messages.
Fox Nuke, we've got your favorite team. Fox Nuke, buy one today and see.
Do you wear t-shirts that don't fill you with happiness? Does your wardrobe evoke feelings of sadness and despair? Would you like to know where to get your new favorite t-shirt? You need to go to boxnuke.com. We have fun, cool, and comfortable t-shirts, tanks, and more. When you want to make a statement without saying a word, pick up your new favorite t-shirt at boxnuke.com.
Gotta be intense. Our friend here's getting an intense workout with the intense cool of his Hydrotech Cool Breeze shoes, which brings your feet a cooling sensation that is the best on the market today. Can only be explained with one word: intense! Whether you're working out hard or just taking a stroll, these shoes have got your back, or I should say, your feet. Aren't these shoes intense?
Maybe a little too intense, but there's no doubt they're cool.
Show so far, and boy, do we still have some. We'll jump over to the noon game where the lowly Falcons, the under.
Exactly what it is a rumor. I don't think anyone's going to try to get Watson. And even if they did get him, for him to play in the NFL, I don't think it's going to happen. So he's just going to sit and collect his money. But who cares about that? We're going to get into the Falcons. I'm a little bit different. I'm thinking the Falcons are going to have a day against the Dolphins. You saw the Jags beat the shit out of them. So I think the Falcons are going to do really well. I'm really excited for Calvin Ridley. He's had a horrible year this year, not much production at all. But I feel like this is going to be, he had the bye, he visited his grandma. I think he's got his head on straight, and I think he's going to go off. I also feel like Matt Ryan's going to look a lot like yesteryear Matt Ryan, where he was just slinging and getting touchdowns. I have high faith in him. And, of course, Cordell Patterson, the unit, the Swiss Army knife. This dude, you got to start him. I mean, I would definitely start him even as an RB2 or flex. He's got to make it onto your lineup if you have him. For sits, honestly, the only one that I would, his name is eluding me, the tight end for the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, I would be cautious. I don't think he's going to have as much production as he did. Because they do have Ridley coming back. So I would tape your expectations. But I wouldn't necessarily go full out sit, especially with the tight end wasteland. I definitely would give him a start, but cautious. If you got somebody better, like Hunter Henry, I may start him over him, to be honest.
Okay. Cool. For me, I'm definitely starting Matt Ryan. He hasn't been spectacular, but I do expect him to have a good game this week. Calvin Ridley, I'm still starting him. I'm trying to trade for him, if I'm honest. He's been underwhelming, to say the least. I think he's a guy that's going to bounce back in a big way. The volume is there. It just, hasn't been too good, and he was out for a personal reason last week, so I think he'll bounce back and have a good game. Cordell Patterson has been a stud this year. He's been a top 10 player at his position, so expect him to be really good. And I definitely am starting Kyle Pitts. I do have him ranked as my number 4 tight end this week. With that said, guys that I'm sitting are those secondary and tertiary receivers that the Falcons do have. Outside of that, anything you want to add, Andrew? Any guys that you're liking this week for the Falcons?
Yeah, everybody on the Falcons against the Dolphins, because the Dolphins are garbage at this point. And listen, I don't know what to read into that whole Deshaun Watson to Miami thing. I will say this. I think, if anything, Deshaun Watson can at least go to Miami and kind of hide, considering Miami's a little bit of a debauchery town. So it could happen. Yeah. If that does happen, then obviously Deshaun Watson becomes a hot property, I think, at that point. But, I don't know what's going to happen with the whole Miami situation. But against the Falcons, I like everybody against the Falcons at this point. Patterson, Ridley, all those guys. I think they're going to be great.
And keep in mind, too, Dolphins, their quarterback, Howard, is still out. He's questionable. So I'm guessing he's going to grab some pine again. So, I think you're going to have some huge upside. I did think of one person while you guys were talking who I had said, Mike Davis. I totally forgot about him because he's just dead to me. I would definitely try to trade him if you can. You probably won't, because someone's got to be really desperate to have him. But moving over to the Dolphins, once again, with this trash team is 1-5. The only player that I'm really excited about, without a doubt, would pull the trigger on would be Jalen Waddle. I think he's a must start. Last week, he was targeted 13 times, 10 receptions, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I think he's going to have another solid game against Atlanta. I just feel like Atlanta's D isn't really scary, and I think he's going to do very well. Other guys that I would possibly start, I don't know. Myles Gaskin, I just don't know about him. Like, you know,
garbage.
He's one of those
He's
players
garbage.
but like, you start him and he's trash, and then you sit him and he blows up. And you're like, all right, here's my week. And then once again, he's just trash. So I would try to find someone better. I wouldn't even roll the dice. Yeah, that's one person I would probably sit for sure. Mike Gesicki.
Yeah.
Oh, so close. I would definitely, I would start him. I feel like he's in that range, top 10 tight ends, maybe more like top 12, top 14. But yeah, he's definitely somebody where you don't have to be too concerned about starting. I do like Tua. I think Tua, he's getting a lot of flack, but I don't think he's that horrible. Maybe like in the real world, football wise, he's not the best, but fantasy purposes, I mean, last week he had 47 attempts, 33 completions, 329 yards, 2 TDs. He did get, picked once, but he's solid, man. I would start him for sure. And then we have Devontae Parker, which I don't even think he's going to really even play this week. And once again, Jalen Waddle's going against a pretty crappy secondary. So that would be that. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so real quick, I'm not the biggest Tua guy, real life fantasy guy. I just don't see it. I don't get the enamored like that people have with Tua. They crap all over Jalen Hurts.
Alabama.
Yeah, well, they crap all over Jalen Hurts, but everybody loves Tua.
Don't work.
I just don't get it. So I pass, honestly, complete pass. I don't think he's a franchise player. Don't think he's that good. So I'm gonna pass on him. Myles Gaskin, if you got him, you could throw him in the flex, but I wouldn't be opposed to sitting him, to be honest. Devontae Parker's questionable, as is their Preston Wilson, their backup wide receiver. I think he's the 4th-string wide receiver, to be 100% honest with you. Preston Williams, I'm sorry. He's also questionable today, so we'll see what happens. If both of those guys are out, man, I think Jalen Waddle is going to eat. So keep that in mind. Definitely a guy I'd be interested in starting. I'm starting Jalen Waddle no matter who plays. I think he's the best, most talented receiver they have. They drafted him in the 1st round for a reason. The kid's explosive. Big fan. Mike Gesicki, I'm starting. He's been solid. He's been a solid, tight end. He's giving you 7-8 points a week. The targets are there, and it's just in quarterback's best friend's the tight end. So
right in that middle. Yeah, he's like a middle guy.
Yeah, he's been solid. A quick name in really deep leagues, Salvin Ahmed, just a nice little backup running back. He's kind of small, like 5'8", real small guy, but I think he's more explosive than Myles Gaskin. I think maybe by year's end they're going to try and give him more touches and see kind of what he can do. For whatever reason, they don't believe in Gaskin. They don't give him the looks that I think he should get. And
would you believe in it? I wouldn't believe in him.
I mean, I don't think
he's not explosive enough, and he's not tough enough.
Yeah, well, he's small. I'll give him that. He's really small, but I don't know, man. I think you got it. There's got to be a game where they give him 20 touches. They just don't.
If he became a wide receiver, he'd be a lot better.
Oh yeah,
I believe that.
Didn't he fumble last game too? Didn't he fumble the ball?
So.
I don't hold that against him. I
do. You fumbled the ball. You grabbed some pine, buddy. Fuck that noise.
Yeah,
you're professional.
Cool. That's kind of where I'm at as far as those guys go. All right, we'll jump over to the next matchup where the 4-2 Bengals they visit the Ravens, the 5-1 Ravens. It's the final noon game we have on the slate. DL, who do you got?
Man, this game, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit nervous for the Bengals because the Ravens defense is legit. Their secondary, they are good to go. And I feel like, honestly, Joe Burrow does struggle against these types of defenses. When he played the Bears, he got picked 3 times in a row, 1, 2, 3. It was crazy. So I'm not excited to start him. I know it's going to be a shocker. I would sit Joe Burrow for this game. I don't think he's going to do well. T. Higgins, I would put it as a flex. Lamar Chase, I mean, he's putting up numbers like crazy. He's crazy good numbers. So I would definitely start him as well. Joe Mixon, I mean, I would double check, make sure he's good to go. I haven't seen or heard anything where I would question him. But yeah, for sure, I would start him as well. So my sit for this game would be Joe Burrow. I know it's a shocker, but what do you guys think?
Okay. Real quick, I'm starting Joe Burrow every single week, no matter what. I think he's the next like elite quarterback. I think he's gonna, by year's end, he's gonna take that step forward and be, one of those that next wave, that next generation of elite quarterbacks.
I think he's good. I just think I don't think he's gonna do well against Baltimore. I just don't.
I think he's great. It looks like Andrew's got something on his tongue. What's up, Andrew?
I mean, I'm a big Joe Burrow fan. I'm an LSU fan, so when he won the national championship, I was super happy. I'll say this. I mean, his receiving core, I think, is really good. And the fact that they don't have Marcus Peters out there, I think, does give them an advantage to be able to take advantage of a matchup there. And when you have T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Jamar Chase, all of them fast, all of them big, all of them able to make great catches, there's an opportunity for Burrow to take advantage. I agree, Dustin. I think against this defense, he will struggle because the offensive line's going to get – it's a pass rush that's going to be on them for sure. But I still think if you need a quarterback, I think Joe's going to put up some numbers. So if you need a quarterback, like right now I have him on my bench. It's him and Kyler Murray. I'm keeping him on the bench because Kyler Murray's playing a really bad team. So, but I would say if you're desperate for a quarterback, and Joe Burrow, I think, can at least give you like 15, might even give you 20 points in this game because Baltimore, if he gets the right advantage, he could take them potentially to the numbers, make it like a close single-digit game.
Yeah,
I agree. He's a talented quarterback, but the key phrase that I'm hearing is if.
Right.
And,
it's all
honestly,
a guess.
I wouldn't roll the dice against Baltimore.
I would, but let me keep going. So automatic start Joe Burrow. In your situation, I wouldn't start him because Kyler Murray is better. But if Joe Burrow is what you got, you must start him every week. I'm also starting Jamar Chase, no question about it. He's their number one receiver. He's another star receiver. I think, man, in dynasty leagues, he's probably the best, young wide receiver out there. I'm really, really excited about him. I think he's elite. And I remember all that crap people were talking about him because he came out and said he didn't like the size and the texture of the NFL footballs. That's all on the wayside. That's what it goes to show you. When you go out and perform, everything else is forgotten. With that said, Joe Mixon's a must start. He's a top 10 running back, so I'm starting Joe Mixon. And I'm also starting T. Higgins. He's been underwhelming. If I'm a team out there, you're needing a wide receiver, he hasn't really performed too well. I'm trying to trade for T. Higgins, to be 100% honest with you. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's – I think he's good. I think he's really talented. I like T. Higgins. I'm a fan.
He works that's well pretty outside much the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. He's a big target, too. He's like 6'4" or something ridiculous.
6'4", and then
yeah, see, I'm definitely also starting C.J. Uzomah. He's solid. He's okay. Somebody who probably you picked up off the waiver wire because you needed a tight end. If you got him, you're probably starting him. I do think it's going to be a really high-scoring game. I know the Ravens' defense is great, but that offense is so good. The only way that the Bengals stay in this game is if they try to keep up offensively. All right, let's jump over to the Ravens side. DL, who you starting? Who you sitting?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple here. Lamar Jackson, you're going to start. He's arguably probably one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, if you're talking about Joe Burrow being one of them, he's definitely a lot better, a lot more talented. He's throwing the ball more that you're seeing. He's not doing all the work with his legs, so he's a definitely start. Or Marquise Brown or Hollywood Brown, I'm definitely going to start him. Although I'm really excited, as I alluded to earlier in the show, Rashad Bateman, I think is going to – I would flex him. I don't think he's going to just automatically be the guy, but I'm excited for him. I picked him up off waivers, especially in this bye week. That's what's kind of cool about this. At least you got to start him. You don't have to have that battle in your head of who you're going to start and who you're going to sit. Obviously, Mark Andrews, we're going to go with him for sure. Latavius Murray, he's out, so I'm going to sit him, obviously. And I'm excited, though, because I did pick up Devontae Freeman. So I'm going to start him because I think he out of all the backs that they had, I feel like he's the one that had most pop to him. But is that because he can do it in short bursts, or can he actually do it throughout the game? That's a question. And then also there's Baltimore's running backs are a little bit tricky because there's still Tyson Wilson's out there. You don't know. Maybe they just decide, fuck you guys, we're going to throw him in. Devontae Freeman, flex him, but that's just a name that I love and cherish throughout fantasy. So, that's who I got.
Cool.
What about you guys? What do you think?
In agreement with you. Lamar Jackson starts. Hollywood Brown starts. Mark Andrews starts. Latavius Murray's out, so you can't start him. Devontae Freeman is probably the running back I'm starting there, no doubt about it. And that's pretty much it as far as the Ravens go. We're going to jump over to the Lions real quick. The Lions are 0-6. They have a 3-0-5 game. And then the Rams against the Rams. They are 5-1. So this is a 3:05 game. The Lions face the Rams. As far as the Lions go, I'm not really too excited to start too many guys. DeAndre Swift is a must start no matter what, no matter who he plays. He's been playing through a groin injury, so definitely someone that you want to start. TJ Hawkinson is somebody I was really excited about at the beginning of the year. Prior to the year, honestly, he started off hot. Hasn't been the best. He's been fighting a knee injury, but he has looked really good. He's the best receiver that they have on that team, with names like Khalif Raymond and Amon-Ra St. Brown. They're just like names that you're not going to be super familiar with, but TJ Hawkinson is a must-start every week as long as he plays. I am also sitting Jared Goff. I am sitting Khalif Raymond, and I probably am going to flex Jamal Williams now that the information came out about DeAndre Swift dealing through that injury. I think Jamal Williams will probably get a little bit more work this week, especially in a PPR league. He's a lot more flexible there, but Jamal Williams is somebody I am interested in playing. As a quick sleeper, Amon-Ra St. Brown, just a guy who in a PPR league specifically, I would probably try to start. He reminds me a lot of Jamison Crowder, just one of those speedy receivers, somebody who will get a ton of targets, somebody I am interested in. DL, who you got?
One thing I'm not interested in is the Lions because they're straight trash garbage. But I agree with you. I don't think there's anyone that I'm really debating here. I would be really excited to start TJ Hawkinson. He is dealing with that knee, but like he legit is one of the top 10 tight ends out there. So yeah, I would fire him up. I'm not as high on the running backs as JC is here. I wouldn't be too excited to start either or Swift, but if you got it, I would go more heavy on the Swift side. Jamal Williams, I think he has like cute little bursts, but it's just he's not really producing. He like gets like 10 yards and then all of a sudden here comes Swift. So, but I do agree. I mean, with a groin injury, that's not a good injury to have if you're a running back. I am somewhat interested in St. Brown. Same, I agree. PPR for sure. Flex option. Wouldn't start him over any of the names that we have mentioned. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Lions for me. Not excited.
All right, cool. Let's jump over to the Rams side. For the Rams, I'm definitely starting Matthew Stafford. He's been killing it. He's tied for third with 16 touchdowns. He has the best QBR in the league, and he has a really explosive offense. He's definitely a must-start every single game moving forward, so don't question it. Throw him in there, and you'll be good. Trust me. Moving on, Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson had the second highest usage rate in the entire NFL. You know who had the first usage rate, the best? The guy who was on the field for the most snaps at running back? Khalil Herbert, believe it or not. The rookie got 81% usage rate, yeah. But Darrell Henderson was second with 80% usage rate. They love him. They trust him. He's really good in pass pro, so he'll be on the field a ton. Definitely somebody I'm automatically starting no matter what. Cooper Kupp's a top 5 wide receiver this year. He's a must start, no questions about it. Bobby Trees has been rebounding the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I really think that Stafford's making it a thing to get him the ball just because he started kind of slow. So definitely starting Robert Woods. Tyler Higbee's a tight end that I'm not the biggest fan of, but if you got him, you kind of got to start him. There just isn't a lot of tight ends out there this year. And then finally, the Rams defense is an automatic start this week. I fully expect them to finish in the top 3 on defense this week. Real quick, I'm sitting Van Jefferson, sitting Deshaun Jackson, and Sony Michel just because the volume isn't there. DL?
Same. I mean, there's a reason why they're doing so well, and that's because they have a really strong offense. I did pick up Matthew Stafford in a couple leagues, and yeah, I haven't had to worry about him, think about him, or anything. The dude just has so many targets. Hats off to the Rams for getting him in a trade. But at first I was like, what? Okay. But he's living up to everything that they thought he would. Yes, absolutely. Stafford is a must start. Cooper Kupp, I agree. One thing that I like is like Bobby Trees, was complaining that he wasn't given any targets. And then what was it like? 2 games ago, he was just getting nailed. Like Stafford's like, here you go, catch this. So I like that where they're just gelling, man. And I would even say to me, I would throw them in the Super Bowl talk as well too. I think they're crushing it. Rams defense always top 10. So yeah, I agree. Deshaun Jackson, if you have him, cut him. I don't know why you're hanging on to him. He's boomer bust, but most of the times he's bust. Sony Michel. I'm liking Sony Michel. He is dealing with an injury, but I do think, I would keep him for a couple more weeks, honestly, just because I know with Henderson, a lot of times he comes off the field. Like he gets hurt mid-game and like can't go back out there. So If you want to be a part of this offense, I would definitely hang on to him, but I agree. I wouldn't start him necessarily or even flex him this week.
Okay.
That'd be that.
All right, cool. Fantastic. All right, we'll jump over to the next matchup, the next 3:05 game, where the 2-4 Eagles fly to Vegas and take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah, exactly. So from the Eagles standpoint, I think Jalen Hurts is a must-start. He's a top 5 fantasy QB. You start him every single week if you got him. No questions asked. I know it's not pretty, but fantasy-wise, he is getting it done. And those rushing touchdowns that he's getting are clutch. I'm also starting Miles Sanders. I know he's also been kind of, he hasn't looked strong. It's just because Nick Sirianni, the coach, doesn't use him the way he probably should. I'm hesitant about starting him, but I am starting him if you have him. And you probably drafted him in the first 3 rounds, just somebody that, you kind of got to start if you got him. If he has a big game, you trade him immediately, though. But I do expect him to bounce back later on in the year. Devontae Smith, the Slim Reaper, he's quietly becoming a really dependable receiver. I project him later on in his career to be a wide receiver 1. A little small, a little slight, but he's a freak athlete. Really love the talent that he has. He's had 2 bad weeks, and I expect him to bounce back this week against the Raiders. I am also starting Dallas Goedert. I think he's a must-start as long as he's healthy every single week. He's now the official number 1 tight end on the Eagles now that they traded away Zach Ertz. So I expect him to get a ton of targets, and honestly, he has the ability to finish as a top 5 tight end the rest of the season. So I do expect him to be great. As far as my sits, Jalen Reagor is my sit. I just can't really trust him. If you got him, I'm probably trying to move away from him, and he's on my cut list, so I'm moving away from Jalen Reagor. DL?
Yeah, this is where we're going to differ quite a bit. The only people I'm starting on the Eagles is Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert. Honestly, okay. I think Sanders is trash. I think Devontae Smith is trash. If you have him, I would try to get rid of him because, yeah, I would say Devontae Smith is quietly becoming good. I don't think so. I think he's like a quiet fart in a room full in a church. Not good, right? Not good. So yeah, that would be my starts. Only people I'm starting here is Hurts and Goddard.
Okay. Cool. Let's jump over to the Las Vegas Raiders side. I can't wait for you to be proven wrong. As far as the Raiders go, you must start Derek Carr. On the way. Yeah, exactly. You guys start Derek Carr. He's a must-start for me. He's been solid this year. I think he's a top 10 quarterback this week. You got to start him. I'm also starting Josh Jacobs. The Eagles have a really good run defense, but I do expect the Raiders to be up. And I do expect him to get a lot of garbage time points to try to kind of ice the game away. I'm also starting Henry Ruggs III. A little hesitant about it, but he should be a solid flex play this week. I do think that the Eagles have kind of a shoddy secondary, so Henry Ruggs should eat. Finally, Darren Waller, absolute must-start every single week. He's a top 4 tight end, no question about it. My quick little sleeper that I do have is Hunter Renfrow, especially in a PPR league. He gets a ton of looks, ton of targets, a lot of short yardage stuff, but every single catch is great, especially in a PPR league. He does a lot of the dirty work. I am interested in starting him if I have him, and I am sitting Kenyon Drake. I just don't know what happened to Kenyon Drake. He was solid last year. They don't really believe in him, apparently. He doesn't get a ton of looks. I feel like he's been phased out. What's crazy is he's only had 22 total carries on the year. We're in week 7, and he has 22 total carries. That kind of tells you where the Vegas Raiders, think that he sits. They're just not too interested in starting him. DL, what you got?
Yeah, I would definitely sit all the wide receivers for the Raiders. I don't trust any of them. Even when they do get hot, like last game, this game, they probably won't. So the ones that I have probably the most confidence in would probably be Derek Carr for sure, the QB. Josh Jacobs, I agree. Josh Jacobs and me have kind of a shaky relationship at this point. He's okay. He's okay. I'll throw that. I'd probably put him in a flex, but I necessarily wouldn't start him like over, who was it? Henderson, right? Obviously. So if we think Darren Waller, obviously must start. I mean, you drafted him. He's top 10 or top 3, top 4 tight end. Must start for sure. And that's what I would say as far as that's concerned. I do agree with Kenyon Drake. He's garbage. And once again, I'm not excited about any of the wide receivers on the Raiders at all.
Okay. All right, cool. Andrew, anything you want to add?
I will say, at least for Henry Ruggs, I think he could have potentially a big game. The problem with Kenyon Drake, I think, is that the Raiders are trying to be a downfield threat, and they want to use Josh Jacobs as much as possible, right? So Kenyon Drake's going to get a little less time than possible. If I was Kenyon Drake, I'd move to a wide receiver at this point. I think he'd be more effective there. Josh Jacobs, I think he has to go into more of like the Browns offense where you just run the ball 30 times for him to be effective. He's like a workhorse. He gets better if he touches the ball, but he hardly touches the ball in the Raiders system.
That's
so
true.
I would steer clear away from that. But yeah, Derek Carr, I would say Henry Ruggs, Darren Waller is a must. Other than that, Hunter Renfrow is a maybe if you need a flex, I would say. Other than that, Edwards has disappeared completely. They don't have anybody else really to fill in those spots. So it's very limited. But against the Eagles, expect a lot of throwing because their front is really good at stopping the run.
Gotcha. All right, guys. Well, there's a few more games left. We will talk a little bit about the 6-0 Cardinals against the terrible Texans. We'll talk a little bit about the Bears against the Buccaneers. Maybe Tom Brady wants some revenge to make up for last year for blowing that game, calling an extra timeout when they didn't have it. And we'll talk about the Colts and 49ers after a few messages. All right, welcome back. It's been a jam-packed show.
Watch your mouth.
We still got some more, so let's go. The Texans, the 1-5 Texans, take on the 6-0 Cardinals. The Texans fly all the way over to Arizona to get their asses kicked because it's going to be ugly. I do have a bet on this game, so can't wait to win some money on it, that the Cardinals are going to cover the spread, so it should be pretty solid. But anyway, the Texans, here's who I'm starting. I am probably starting Brandon Cooks. I just think it's going to be a really crazy game. I think the Cardinals are going to just take a lead early, and the Texans are going to be playing from behind, so I do expect him to get a ton of looks. Probably be good for at least 10 points this week based on the fact that they're going to be playing from behind, and he'll probably get a ton of touches. With that said, that's the only guy I'm starting. I would sit everybody else. I have no confidence in anybody else on the Texans. That's just kind of where I'm at. DL, where you at?
Same. The only feasible person that I would even be somewhat comfortable, I wouldn't even be that comfortable, is Cooks. So yeah, that was easy.
Yeah, real easy. All right, let's jump over to the Cardinals. This one's going to be real easy. I'm definitely starting Kyler Murray, top 5 quarterback. He's going to continue his MVP tour. I'm also starting DeAndre Hopkins, no question about it. Just feels like he's going to want to get in the end zone this week. He's going to want to have a revenge game against the Texans. I expect him to have at least a touchdown and over 100 yards. I think Kyler is going to know to give him the ball a bit. With that said, Chase Edmonds, I'm also must-start territory. Your boy A.J. Green, I'm starting him. And I'm also starting James Conner. I'm sitting Rondale Moore, even though I love the talent. I just don't think that he's going to get a ton of looks when they're up early. I don't think they're going to keep passing. It's going to be a heavy run game. I'm also sitting Christian Kirk. My sleeper this week is Zach Ertz. I could see them being up so many points that they want to make Ertz. They want to feed him the ball just to kind of get him acclimated, kind of get him involved in the offense. So I would actually start Zach Ertz as a sneaky sleeper pick. DL?
See, are we getting ahead of ourselves here, guys? Could this possibly be a trap game?
No way.
Think about it. It's like, oh, without a doubt, we got these guys.
Don't say that, man. Do not say that. I got to win this week with Kyler Murray. I don't need that.
Yeah.
Same, friend, same. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any Arizona player you have, I would start. I do agree. I would sit Moore. I would sit Kirk. I think here's the thing. I think Murray's going to have a good game, but I don't think he's going to hit 30, 40 points.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think he's going to get far enough. I'm sorry, brother. I think he's going to get far enough ahead.
Why you got to say that, man?
That's why I was excited. I was like, oh, man, they're going to crush him. but that's what happens. If they get up by 3 touchdowns, it's going to be a run fest. Garbage time. Here we come. I am really excited about AJ Green. Honestly, I think he's been kind of targeted a little bit more than even Hopkins, to be honest. Like, as far as touchdowns are concerned, he does have a couple more as well. So AJ Green is definitely that sneaky wide receiver too, I feel like. But I mean, let's be honest, Hopkins and Kirk are going to run the show. So I do like the sleeper aspect. I would give Zach Ertz at least one more week before actually even installing him in. But yeah, I do think he's going to get acclimated. I think you're absolutely right. Once they blow the Houston out of the water, they're just going to keep dishing him the ball. So that'll be that.
Cool. All right, we're going to go over to our next game. It's a 3:25 start. It's our Chicago Bears. They fly over to Tampa.
Go.
Our Bears are 3-3. They take on Tom Brady and the 5-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This one's going to be ugly. I don't think the Bears are going to win this. But from a fantasy perspective, here's who I'm starting. Yeah, exactly. Khalil Herbert is a must start. Like I said earlier, he got the most usage in the NFL, which is insane for a rookie. That just goes to show you just how much the Bears believe in him. They think really highly of him. I don't expect Damian Williams to play this week. It did come out earlier that he has COVID and that he wasn't vaxxed, so he needs 10 days of clearance. The only day that we'll know is Saturday whether he will be cleared or not. So I expect him to be out. I am starting Darnell Mooney, and that's about it for the Bears. I think Darnell Mooney is their favorite target, at least Justin Fields' favorite target. I'm not starting Allen Robinson at all. I'm not starting Justin Fields fantasy-wise. Maybe Cole Kmet will get a look from me. I did hear some chatter about Fields saying that he does have to get his tight ends involved more, but I don't know if I'm going to start him.
Well, doesn't Jimmy Graham, doesn't he have COVID, or he's on the COVID list?
Yeah, you know what? Good point. Jimmy Graham is out. He also has COVID. So 3 Bears players so far have COVID. Robert Quinn, the pass rusher, which is bad for the Bears because they lead the league in sacks. He has COVID. Damian Williams has COVID. And also, so does, like you said,
Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham also has COVID. Who you starting? Who you sitting, DL?
Yeah, no worries. I would forget about Jimmy Graham because he hasn't done squad all year.
Yeah,
I mean, I would agree. I'm a Bears fan. I always hope and pray that they pull this off. It was fun last year when they beat the snot out of Brady. But yeah, I don't see it. This is gonna be a rough one to sit through. I may even flip it over to the red zone. Who knows? Nah, just kidding. I'm gonna watch the game and wallow in my misery. But yeah, as far as starts concerned, I think Khalil Herbert for sure. Is definitely someone to start. I picked him up last week. Once again, guys, tune into our shows on Tuesday where we actually go over the waiver wires. We usually shoot that at 9 a.m. Live. So, yeah, definitely hit us up on the Twitter machine. Tweet us, FFG. Yeah, so definitely pay attention to that. I picked up him. Also, we didn't really talk about this too. I'm sorry I'm going off on a tangent, but Dearness Johnson had a hell of a game. It's another guy we picked up too. So these backup running backs are really like taking the ball and running with it. Weird. But yeah, I agree with you, JC. Herbert, definitely. Mooney, I would flex. I don't know. Like, I think actually, I take that back. I don't think Herbert's going to have that great of a game this week, to be honest. Tampa Bay has the #1 running defense. So it's going to be really hard to get him like rocking and rolling. So I wouldn't expect him to have such a great game like last week. I think it's going to – I wouldn't – yeah, I'm sitting him.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. You want to do a beer bet?
No, I ain't doing a beer bet. No.
Come on. That's what we do here. We do
I'm going to –
Come on. What are you, scared? Come on, Dustin.
Come on.
I'm not betting against the Bears.
All right, here's the beer bet. Here's the beer bet. That he goes for at least 15 fantasy points in a standard league.
No.
Wow. Well,
yeah,
put your money where your mouth is. All right,
hey,
cool.
Man, I just said a sit-on.
Yeah,
that's all.
Shame.
All right, cool. Well, I'm not sitting him. All right, cool. We'll jump over to the Buccaneers side. Real quick, the starts are easy. Tom Brady's a must-start. He always kills the Bears. I fully expect that to be no different this week. Leonard Fournette has quietly become a solid RB.
Wait. Pump the brakes. He kills the Bears? Really? Yeah. What about last year when he didn't kill the Bears and forgot what down he was on?
He had a senior moment last year.
Yeah.
Kill the Bears, huh? Okay.
Yeah, he does. He juked Urlacher. Do we forget?
That's true. That did happen. That is video. There's video proof that happened.
Yeah. So anyway, Tom Brady must start. Leonard Fournette's an RB2. You start him no matter what. I expect him to get a touchdown and 80-plus yards. That's kind of where I'm at. Mike Evans has been solid. I just don't think Mike Evans is the receiver he used to be, if I'm being 100% honest. I still think he's great, but he used to be a low-end wide receiver 1. Now he's kind of in the solid wide receiver 2 territory. So he's a must-start against the Bears. Chris Godwin's also been underperforming too, but I start him too. What's up, DL? What you got?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I would say that the roles have switched. I think Antonio Brown has taken over the wide receiver 1.
Super important.
Well, hold on. I necessarily wouldn't say that like Mike Evans is like not what he used to be. I mean, he was awesome last year. So now all of a sudden he's not. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think that Mike Evans is going to have a better game now that Brown is out. I think Chris Godwin, I'm going to start them both. Godwin is going to have a little bit of an uptick. But yeah, I have a feeling. Actually, flip it. I think Godwin's going to have a better game than Evans because I think Jalen is going to be all over Evans. I'm excited for that. As far as your like sits, I'm right with you. Gronkowski is actually out, so can't start him, and Ronald Jones sucks ass. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm now you got me double thinking with Herbert.
Yeah.
Actually, I would put him in the flex. I changed my mind. I wouldn't sit him. I think he runs angry, so I would start him.
Yep. All right, let's jump over to the Sunday night game as we get ready to wrap up here shortly. We're going to go to the Colts against the 49ers. The Colts are 2-4. They fly over to San Francisco and take on the 2-3 49ers, who have been a disappointment this season. They were supposed to be one of the best teams in football, and they are really not. Just goes to show you the rookie quarterbacks haven't been that great. Real quick for the Colts, I am starting Carson Wentz. He's been a top 10 quarterback the last 2 weeks. I think that continues this week against the 49ers. You got to ride the hot hand. He's been really good. Jonathan Taylor has been a freak. The guy has exploded. He's a top 5 running back this week. And honestly, the rest of the year, automatic must start no matter what. Michael Pittman is the number 1 wide receiver in Indianapolis, so I am starting Michael Pittman. I think he's solid. He's a wide receiver 2 rest of the year. I am also sitting T.Y. Hilton. I think he's out. I think he's hurt, so no interest in T.Y. Hilton at this time. Naheem Hines.
50-50.
Yeah,
He's
Naheem
50-50.
Hines is just
out.
Yeah, okay. Naheem Hines is just a handcuff at this point. Isn't really performing like he did last year, so I am not starting him at all unless Jonathan Taylor goes down. And then finally, Mo Alley Cox is a name to put on your radar. Mo Alley Cox. He's a deep league red zone target, real big tight end, kind of like one of those half wide receiver, half tight end guys. Doesn't do a lot of blocking. He's legit just a pass catcher. I like him for a touchdown this game.
Yeah, I feel the Colts are definitely gelling at this point. I think you saw it last game. Carson Wentz I think that was his first like 300-yard. Was it 300 or 400? I think it was right in that range first game. So I agree with that for sure. Jonathan Taylor had a slow start. I had him. I was like, oh, man, I fucked up. I shouldn't have drafted him, but he's on a roll right now. I see that continuing. I don't know what happened. The juice is loose, but, yeah, I would definitely start him for sure. I'm not really excited about Michael Pittman, though. I would flex him. I'm not too excited to start him. Last game, he, sucked. He was horrible. So I'm not – I mean, maybe this is his bounce-back game. Very much could be against the 49ers, sure. Their defense is hurt. There's, I want to say, 3 or 4, they have no quarterback. So, yeah, maybe Pittman bounces back this game for sure. My boy, T.Y. Hilton, I'm excited for him. But, yeah, I agree. I wait until he clears that injury. Even last week, I think he was in for 8 plays. He did well, but he also was going against the Texans. So, yeah, I would definitely bench him as well, too.
Cool. Let's jump over to the 49ers side. It's real simple, real quick. Elijah Mitchell is a solid flex option. I'm starting him if you got him. Deebo Samuel has been a top 10 wide receiver this year. He's got 548 receiving yards, so he's tied for the 5th most at the wide receiver position. He's in must-start territory as well. I am sitting Brandon Ayuk. No interest in Garoppolo starting him at all.
Brandon Ayuk at this point if you have him.
Yeah. I don't know why you would have him.
At this point. I thought unless Lance gets in the game and starts going downfield to him, he's worthless at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I just think that if you cut him and he goes off or does anything, you're going to feel bad about it. So I kind of have him in complete bench territory. No interest.
Makes sense.
In him. Yeah.
What happened to your whole don't fall in love with players?
I'm not in love with them. It's not even that. It's just the talent is so great that if you cut him, you're going to look at all the names that are available and you're going to be like, dang, Brandon Ayuk or Nico Collins. They're not even in the same tracks here.
You got it bad, man.
You can break that heart in half for me and George Kittle if you want.
There you go. See, I said sit him. So I'm just saying.
I'm about done with him.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think he comes back in 3 weeks, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. The 49ers, man. Yeah, absolutely right. Like, this was one of those teams I was really excited for. I mean, obviously, I was, because of the Bears' issues in the beginning of the season, I was going to root for the Cardinals, honestly. But 49ers were there as well, too. But, yeah, there's nothing really that I disagree with this on here. But, yeah, I would definitely cut Brandon Ayuk. He's garbage. Yeah.
All right, cool.
It's not even worth saying his name right, so.
All right, cool. We'll jump over to the last slate of games. So it's the last game of the week. It's going to be the Monday Night Football game where the 3-2 Saints take on the injured 2-4 Seahawks. For me,
Clunker.
Yeah, when it comes to the Saints, I'm starting Jameis Winston. He hasn't been great, but I do expect him to do well against a very hurt Seahawks team. I don't know. His touchdown to completion ratio is insane. He had 5 touchdowns and threw the ball less than 20 times. So the guy's getting it done, but it's not pretty. So I am starting Jameis Winston. Alvin Kamara is a must start no matter what, no matter who he plays. And then I'm also starting Marquez Callaway. Decent flex play, solid receiver. I think I'm interested in seeing what he does against the Seahawks. I think he's kind of moving from the sometimes start flex guy to starting a little more dependably. So I am a fan. I am sitting Deontay Harris. He's just too boomer bust for me. And that's it for me when it comes to the Saints. DL?
Yeah, I'm right with you, man. To be honest, like I would say Winston, yeah, if you have to start him. Kamara, obviously. Callaway, definitely a flex spot, but there's really nothing to get excited about the Saints. They're on that. They're kind of like on this weird pendulum where they're really good. You're like, oh, that's them. And then they have a clunker. I'm not too excited about this game, to be honest.
It's the Jameis
however,
effect.
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. The only person I would start that you don't have listed here, or I wouldn't say it's a person, their defense, I think.
Okay.
I would
Absolutely.
definitely go
Their
with the
defense is
Saints
gonna be
defense.
Yeah.
I think they're number 4, I want to say, for this week. So I think they're going to show up big. That would be probably my most exciting. Kamara, yeah, I mean, duh. So we can go.
Cool. Let's jump over to the Seahawks. So for the Seahawks, I'm not starting Geno, whoever they have at quarterback, Cam Newton. I don't care who it is. I'm not starting anyone back there right now. I am starting Alex Collins. I think Chris Carson's going to be done this year. I just don't think he's going to play too much, to be honest with you. I did bring up that sneaky stash of Rashad Penny last week on our Tuesday show. I am interested in continuing to stash him. He is going to play this week. I just see him as a 3-down back. I don't think they'll give him the 3 downs yet this week, but probably next week he'll get that. So stash him if you can. I am starting DK Metcalf as an automatic start. He's the number 1 receiver they have on that team. I'm not going to get a whole lot of volume, but you got to start him if you got him. I'm sitting Tyler Lockett, which sucks to say, but when you got a quarterback that can't throw the ball further than 20 yards, you got to sit him. You know, he makes his money on the deep ball. And I am also sitting Geno Smith, like I said. My sleeper start is Gerald Everett. I think what Geno can do really well is pass from the short to the intermediate passes. And Gerald Everett, that's kind of where he makes his money. So I am starting Gerald Everett.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm right with you, man. Alex Collins, I'm a little bit nervous about. He didn't practice on Thursday. He is dealing. Let's see here. He's dealing with an injury. I want to say it's his groin. So once again, not the best injury to have when you're a running back, bro. So I'm a little bit nervous about him. So yeah, I think Penny would be a good stash if you can grab him. He did practice today, so they might just throw him in there. Sneaky Pete, man, he's really it annoys me because he never gives you the full yeah, we're gonna sit him, or yeah, we're gonna start him. He's always well, it looks good to me. So
Secret of Seahawks.
Alex Collins, yeah, right. I think Metcalf, yeah, obviously is their number 1 wide receiver in this, but yeah, I wouldn't be expecting big numbers from him. And I agree too, Everett, he's got to be a starter. I think he's going to do well this game. But yeah, I really feel Saints defense is probably the best option for this game. I think it's going to be a clunker of a Monday night, which is kind of funny, though. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, or maybe I'm just more invested because I have people going on Thursday night, but I feel like the Thursday night games are like more exciting than they used to be. It used to be that they were just
they've
like
been in the years since they just started it.
Yep.
I mean, it's been incredible, these matchups lately.
Yeah, the matchups are good, and like, you know, not only that, like usually it was sloppy and there's just people getting injured like left and right. And I was like, oh my god, this sucks. But yeah, this year's been awesome. Like, who would have thought
expect the Bengals and the
pull it
Jaguars
off?
to be bad, but like if anybody that watched that
good.
game, it was a really good game.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
it was like back and forth. Like I haven't, but the Monday, that's what I'm saying. Like the Monday nighters, I'm like, oh, I take that back. Last Monday night was good. Actually, I think this is the only Monday night where I'm like, yeah. I'm good.
I think they were hoping it was going to be a good matchup, and now it's yeah. But I'll say this for the Saints, they've got the #1 red zone defense from my point, so they're an absolute must start if you need a defense for sure. As for the Seahawks, I'll give a sleeper for you guys, DJ Dallas.
Okay.
Ooh,
I like him as a running back. I like him because here's the thing. I know Rashad Penny. I know you like him, JC. He's just too unreliable for me. He's just been he's been a bust for me as far as a first-round draft pick goes, right? He's not lived up to the hype. DJ Dallas, though, I think is a guy last week he looked pretty good. I think he can keep that momentum going. I think he's a good complimentary back for Chris Carson when he does come back. Might even become the full-time starter if you give him enough reps.
I agree. I forgot about DJ Dallas. Yeah, he was good last year too. Yeah. It was like him and Alex
He's
Collins.
good, and he's good out of the backfield.
But I think Dallas won it, though. Yeah, I think Dallas was the guy over Collins last year. So good.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens and how that running back room shakes out, no doubt. All right, guys. Well, that's all the time that we have today. I hope you guys enjoyed our start sit. I'm really excited about it. Next week, tune in because we're going to be dressed up. At least I'll be dressed up in a Halloween costume, trying to be a little festive. But as always, guys, remember to follow us on Twitter @TweetFFG. If you have any questions, some late Sunday morning questions, we're always retweeting, we're always tweeting, we're always responding, we're always active. You can do that. You can, again, follow us @TweetFFG. Use the hashtag AskUsFFG. We're happy to answer anything you guys have. As always, you can shoot over any email questions if that's more your flavor. You can send those over to askusffg@gmail.com. Voicemail questions, as always, at 708-655-4508. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Smash that notification button as it does help us. We'll catch you guys again next week on
Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
Next Tuesday.
For our Waiver Wire show. It's been a great one, guys. Take care. We'll see you guys soon.
Back. Come here.
Hey!